I'd like to call the Peters Township Planning Commission regular meeting to order, please. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Peters?
Here.
Mr. Slepas?
Here.
Mr. Wiley?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Magrino?
Here.
And Mr. Waldinger?
Here.
And Ms. Corbel said she would not be here today.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion to approve the September 11th meeting minutes?
So moved.
I'll make a motion to approve the.
Well, he already made the motion. You want to
Oh,
second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any public comments on items that are not on the agenda? Hearing none, moving to old business. Juniper Woods Lot 200. Mark, you want to talk about that? About the notice we received?
Yes, as of roughly 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, we did receive notice from the applicant. He's asking that this plan be tabled so that they can work through some additional issues related to the plan and its potential approval. So they're asking the Planning Commission to table it for till next meeting, which is November 13th.
Hey, Mark, where are
Yes.
we on our 90 days?
So they extended they granted us a time extension. That time extension still needs to be approved technically by council. But if that gets approved, which I'm pretty sure it will, that would put us December 26th.
Okay.
What if it doesn't get approved?
And if it doesn't get approved, then planning, or council will have to take action at their next meeting.
Okay.
Do we got a vote on the table today, or is that just already off the agenda?
It's up to you how you guys want to handle it. There's
I'll make a
nothing set-
motion that we table the Juniper Woods Lot 200.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So anybody here for the Juniper Woods Lot 200, we will not be, we'll address that next month. Sorry about that. Next on the agenda is 640 East McMurray Land Development Plan, conversion of existing single-family home into two-family residence and associated parking.
Yes, this is a plan that was tabled previously from the last meeting in September. We've also seen this prior to that as a previous land development plan that was submitted back in, I believe it was July, maybe even June. At that point, that older version was denied. This most recent version was, as I noted, was tabled, and this is what we're looking at today, which is the 640 East McMurray Road location of a potential duplex. It is located on a lot that is 1 acre in size. The current use of the structure is a single-family home, and the adjacent uses surrounding this site are primarily single-family homes, with the exception as you move closer to the, I guess that'd be the south, you start to get into some of the town center area of Peters Township. So again, the proposal is to convert the existing dwelling into a duplex. The plan as shown right here would require this building here being divided with a lower dwelling unit and an upper dwelling unit, and would also include the creation of 4 paved perpendicular parking spaces, as well as 1 parking space in the rear and 1 parking space in a garage located right there. They've also provided some additional screening along East McMurray, and they have also said that they would be willing to potentially put screening along this side of the parking lot. So in reviewing the analysis, and if you remember, we also received documentation from Mr. Ferguson, the lawyer for one of the neighbors of the site. We did some further digging into what type of use this actually would be considered. In doing that research, it was determined that it is in fact a duplex that is a defined use in the ordinance. Now, in looking at the mixed residential overlay ordinance, it doesn't specifically list duplex, but it does list single-family attached units or attached dwellings as a permitted use in the district. And that definition goes on further to say that this includes duplexes as well. So again, the duplex definition, which we then rely on, does allow a structure to be divided into 2 units, whether they're up one above one another or side by side. It does not define the orientation of that. So this particular use does appear to be a duplex as defined, which is then considered a single family attached, which then is considered a permitted use in the district. So with that said, it is staff's recommendation that we would approve the approve the plan with the following conditions. And those conditions being that they address all the comments in my October 3rd, 2025 letter, as well as also that we stipulate that the use of the building as a duplex be prohibited until such time that the appropriate building permit is approved for such. So right now, we only have a building permit for a single-family house. If they want to be a duplex, they have to refile their building permit.
Gotcha.
So and I also know that the developer is in the audience as well.
Can you talk about those comments in your letter and how far they are away from it? Did you say it's subject to your letter you're recommending?
Yes, subject to my letter. So they actually have worked towards addressing those comments, and those comments included showing setbacks on part of the site plan, question as to what the slope of the pavement will be for those 4 parking spaces, noting the maximum permitted height, the correct maximum permitted height on the plans itself, adding some additional screening along the, I guess it would be the northern side here, right here of the parking space, which they said they are willing to do. And also noting on the plans that the use of the property is for a duplex,
Okay.
all of which they said they are willing to do.
Is the applicant here? Please introduce yourself, write your information down too, please.
Hi, I'm Mitch Crehan. I'm representing 640 East McMurray Road. I want to say thank you for tabling the meeting. I've been working through our plan with engineer to address all the items in the staff report, and our goal is to get this registered as a duplex. Just want to reference the definition. Mark covered it, but a single duplex would be a single residential structure that is divided into 2 dwelling units, each of which has a separate entrance, and you'll find this describes 640 East McMurray Road. And I did send the revisions over to Mark on the 3rd, addressing the recommendations on the letter.
So every one of those, Mark, you did receive the change, you just haven't had a chance to fully review?
Correct.
Okay.
But
Do you have an engineer involved with you in
I
this?
do.
Who's that?
That's Laetus Engineering.
Okay.
And have you filled out the appropriate building permit application yet that he described in our,
So that's
Agenda?
on one of Mark's, one of the sheets that we'll have to we have to do the appropriate building permit for the duplex.
you haven't
We have to
received
resubmit.
that or submitted it?
Yeah,
yet?
we have to submit that, and we'll want to submit that, but we want to get through this first.
So we haven't started that process yet.
Haven't started that process.
And the other item that I was reminded of was that one of the conditions, if we were to go that route of approval, would be that we also require a traffic impact fee for the additional unit.
Okay. So that would be a condition of any approval?
That'd be a condition of any approval, yeah.
Thank you.
Do you understand what the traffic impact fee is?
I do not.
Well, can you explain to him what?
Well,
Maybe Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Traffic Guy's here today.
So it's just every new development when you expand, so you're going from 1 housing unit to 2 housing units. I mean, you don't pay for the one that's already there, but you're creating a new housing unit. So, I mean, I'd have to double check. I don't know if it's north or south, but the fee's the same in each district, so.
$1,900.
It's $1,900. Every development gets assessed based on how many trips they generate. So one additional residential unit would generate 1 trip, so that's what you get assessed to.
Flat fee.
It's a fee per trip, so it's $1,900 per trip. So adding 1 residential unit would be 1 trip, basically. So, and other uses generate way more than that, but so residential is just 1.
Mr. Crean, is anybody living in the unit now, one or both?
So there's one person, 2 people on the upper unit.
Okay.
No one's below because we not registered as duplex.
Okay.
And there's an occupancy permit for that person that's living there now?
So there's a,
So the occupancy was granted when the house was built, so that just carries forward. There was minimal work done up there, which is pretty typical of a single-family home. When someone
Sure.
has work done, they get a building permit, they don't have to get a certificate of occupancy while they're still living there.
Mark, just so I'm clear, is this a planning commission approval or recommendation?
This will be an approval.
Gotcha.
thank you.
Is it an approval because it falls under a commercial type?
Because it's considered a land development plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please come up, introduce yourself, sign in, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Scully. I'm here in place of Dwight Ferguson, who was the attorney here last month in regards to this matter. And I'm here tonight on not only behalf of Philip and Joyce Ross right behind me, but I'm also here on behalf tonight of Sarah Summer, Andrew and Betty Sewick, Robert and Janet Stoltz, and Pete and Connie Rostowski, some of whom are also behind me right now, and they are here in opposition of approval of this conversion to convert the single-family dwelling located at 640 East McMurray into a 2-unit dwelling, and they comprise the residents who live in the immediate vicinity of this dwelling. Just for copies for yourself, I have copies of the lists of residents who I'm representing today, along with a amended report that was given to me by Strategic Solutions. If you remember, we gave you a report last month, but they have updated that report in light to the amendments that the applicant has made to their application today, along with some photos from Zillow in regards to the property. Let's
Thank you.
pass that down. Thank you. I also have a letter that I submitted to Mark Holdren earlier today, kind of just summarizing the points that I was going to make here. Thank you. Just to start at the beginning here, the applicant purchased the property in 2023, and since then there's been really a lot of activity of the property. And I just want to note that there's been a lot of activity at the property for a long time about township approval in terms of the building and construction that's been occurring at the property. But now the applicant has come to your today seeking final approval in regard to converting that property into a single-family residence that I've said earlier that most of the residents in the immediate vicinity oppose here today. Now, as more detail delineated in the report that Strategic Solutions prepared for you today, we're opposed to the conversion for a couple of reasons. The first of which is the zoning violation of converting it to a 2-unit dwelling. So currently the underlying zoning district is low density residential with a mixed residential overlay, although I do believe that the property, including most of the surrounding properties, are currently slated to be zoned just low density residential, and now the mixed residential overlay is now in the process of being removed if it's not already been removed from those properties. But we're acknowledging here today that because he submitted the application while it was still an overlay district, that those regulations still apply. Now, the 2-unit dwelling is not permitted in a low density residential district because there's only one type of single-family residential district permitted in low-density residential, and that is a single-family detached dwelling. A 2-unit dwelling does not fall under that definition provided for a single-family detached dwelling in the zoning ordinance. So the only basis in which the applicant can argue that the the property can maybe be converted into a 2-unit property is under the mixed residential overlay district. But the conversion of the property to a 2-unit residential district does not meet the definitions of the permitted uses in the mixed residential overlay district. It does provide for a single-family detached dwelling, which I already said does not fit the definition, and also provides that a single-family attached dwelling is permitted. And this is where I'm going to have to diverge from Mark's interpretation of the zoning ordinance. We're still under the firm belief that when it listed a single-family attached dwelling as the permitted dwelling on that property, it stuck to the definition as provided on the zoning ordinance, which provided that it's only those units that are divided by a common vertical wall. And although they mention the duplex definition, which doesn't have that vertical wall condition, that was only used as a example matter for the definition. If they wanted to include duplexes as permitted use in mixed residential overlay, they would have listed it as a permitted use, as with the other types of permitted single residential dwellings, like a multifamily residential dwelling, which also does not apply here. So it's our position that if the applicant wants to seek to convert this property into a duplex, they need to actually go to the zoning hearing board and request a use variance in order to do that. It's not a matter that's divested with the planning commission. And so under section 440, 402 of the zoning ordinance, no building structure or land shall be constructed or used for any purpose or in any manner other than the one for one or more of the permitted uses, conditional uses, or uses by special exception of the zoning district in which such building structure or land is located. And because duplexes is not listed there, it's thereby prohibited in mixed residential overlay districts. Now, if you're not willing to accept that argument, we're still of the position that the application that they submitted does not strictly conform to what is required of them. They're not here seeking for the development under the low density residential district. They're confined to that mixed use residential overlay and the stringent requirements that they have there. Of note, when you're developing under the residential overlay district, you're supposed to devote areas to common open spaces, entrances and gateways, and the plan itself is supposed to reference a national drainage system, a stormwater management plan for that property. The application they submitted does not list that. It also requires that they submit open space standards and management, and they're supposed to identify that in the plan. And they're supposed to, when it involves a multifamily dwelling, like the one that they're suggesting, that are supposed to devote 10% to common open spaces for that property. And it also states that for any common open spaces, they're supposed to be conveyed to a HOA, land trust, or conservation organization, which from what I've heard so far, there's been no indication that they plan on doing so or converting that property into an HOA or conversion. And I would just also like to point out that for mixed residential overlay districts, when you're producing the master plan, you're also supposed to satisfy the SADLO, the Subdivision and Land Development Act, the ordinance that they impose on the conditions for this property. And if you look at the Stormwater and Management Land Development Ordinance, they list a multitude of several types of requirements that are supposed to be delineated in the plans that they're submitting. This also includes that they're supposed to show any utility easements that are tied to the property, a statement of any intended use and dedication for all non-residential lots, a method for sanitary sewage disposal, a method of providing stormwater management for the property, an erosion and control plan, a statement of whether any existing structures are removed, and a certification that all requirements of the Americans for Disabilities Act have been met, along with several other requirements that are specifically required for land development, which this is the case. Lastly, I think I just want to touch on some, the history of the property. I think some of you have already asked some questions about it, but if you'll see in the last document that I gave you guys in the packet I gave you, when this property was sold, it was already being listed as a multifamily residential dwelling years ago. We're now getting 2 years down the line, and they're finally trying to get it approved for that use that they've been advertising for that property ever since then. Not to mention that, as the applicant admitted, someone is already occupying the property like it is a duplex. It's not a single, they're not using it as a single family residence so far. They've already allowed someone to move in, without an occupancy permit, which I believe you're supposed to obtain when you change the use of the property, which they clearly have already done so. I would just like to conclude that some of the residents here would like to say some words for themselves for the reasons why they're opposed to this development. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional residents that have comments on this side? Go first, especially if it's any different from the council.
Good evening. My name is Andy Swick. I live at 644 East McMurray Road. My wife and I have been living there for 40 years. I must say that this whole thing really should not have even happened. In the beginning, Mr. Crean came on board and told Mr. Ross, my neighbor, that they were in there basically, remodeling the house after it was sold to him. No building, he ran a crew in there. No, he never received permission or never went out and got a building permit. Never even consulted anybody here in the commissions about what he was doing until he got caught. Then he turned around and he said, well, I think I'll make this 2 families. I'll expand the residence and make it 2 family. Well, I don't think the building was ever built to be a 2-family house building to begin with. And from my past experience, I do know that there was a gentleman living downstairs of the house when it was owned by others. And he was basically a grandfather who was, living downstairs, but he was relative. He wasn't a renter. In my way of thinking, I think Mr. Crean tried to pull a fast one on these people, on you people here, and on his neighbors. He went in there with an attitude that I'm going to do what I want to do, and to hell with everybody else. Pardon my language, but that's the feeling I got from it. I must say that I am definitely opposed to making this a 2-family residence or unit or apartment building or whatever you want to call it. I think that most of the people behind me, who are my neighbors, are also opposed to it. We all live in that area, and we want to keep it single-family residence. If he wants to, I know he bought the place, he can have a single family in there. There's no problem with that. I think a house there would be easily rentable to a single family with children so that they could get into one of the best school districts in Pennsylvania. So I leave my comments there, and I thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on this side?
I'll sign in. My name is Joyce Ross. I live at 642 East McMurray, right next door to the property. My request is to please deny the application to convert 640 East McMurray into a multifamily residence, two-family dwelling, duplex, whatever they want to call it, so that they can suit themselves on their planning things. The developer is not concerned with township rules and regulations. He is currently renting the property, we thought, without an occupancy permit. We've been to many meetings here and was told there was no occupancy permit here. They did start construction on the property after purchase without a building permit. They had crews in there. Finally, a stop order was issued, the big red thing went up, and it stopped until they got their permit. We talked to the construction crews, and that we were aware that they were planning a two-family dwelling. They were upstairs and downstairs separating the units. We came to council and we were told, don't worry about it, we're monitoring it, you know, they can't do that. They rented the top floor of the unit in June, and then actually posted a sign to rent the lower level without even being able to fully occupy the top level. That sign has since been taken down. I think they were told to do that. We've been reporting these concerns to council for 2.5 years, about 30 months. We were always told, don't worry, we're monitoring it. It's a single-family dwelling. I was thankful to whoever provided pictures of the house that weren't put up here from the last meeting. I'm not technically advanced and I don't have photos, but it did show some of the property. Please note that on the back porch, there are 2 dishwashers that have been there for, refrigerators, unsecured refrigerators that have been there, that have been taken out of the property, the old property, and I guess replaced, that have been on that lower level for months. Also, a dishwasher is laying there. These things are unsecured. Children are now playing in the yard, and that is actually a safety hazard. There is no landscaping. I hope everyone has taken an interest and drove by the property. It's, I'm sorry, a mess. Where I come out of my driveway to turn left, the weeds have grown up out of the one shrub that is still there so much that I can't see to get out of my driveway. Trees have fallen in the back several times, sometimes on our property. We did contact them. They did have the trees removed. However, the stumps were never removed. It was never manicured. So the lawn that used to go way back into the woods back there is now basically only half a lawn. Now I see there's plans for a parking lot in the front yard. Quite concerned over the fact that they want 6 spaces. I know Mr. Crehan at the previous meeting did announce that he knows legally he can put 6 units on that property. I'm afraid that he may be back and actually trying to do that, to make a makeshift apartment complex in our town center. We also did pay for legal counsel to help us with this. As of last week when I checked the agenda, this was not supposed to be on the meeting, I didn't think. So this came up all of a sudden, and our original counsel had surgery today, so we have Patrick, thank you for stepping in for us, but he was kind of on short notice also. I was told my emotional speech doesn't matter, but I feel differently. This section of Peters Township, East McMurray, is our heart, our center, our town center, with future plans to become a beautiful town center to be proud of. This parcel doesn't work with the plan. It is not what you want people to see as they come down McMurray Road, appreciating the older vintage homes that are along there, and then having a makeshift apartment complex right on Main Street. This is our neighborhood. These are our homes. To the developer, this is a real estate investment. He has no heart in it. It is obvious. We work very hard to keep our homes looking nice. It matters. Our property values matter. Please do not let the request of the smallest parcel in this area change what our town center is and decrease the value of the property that surrounds it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Please come up now.
My name is Sarah Summer, and I live directly across from the property.
Okay.
So I have a pretty good visual of watching a lot of this. My problem with it is I don't want it to be approved because my name is attached that I don't. But I also, rules are rules. They should be followed, and none of them have been followed, so why have them? I know when you have giant developments, it really is a giant concern. This is one little situation that's going to affect a lot of people. And he has totally disregarded the rules. I mean, there was a tarp over the roof for almost 2 years. So anything that he's doing is not really aesthetically appealing, plus all the other things that they've already mentioned. So there's no need to go on and on about it. But if it is approved, then who's going to monitor it? That it is all the rules for a duplex, all the building, the roof is fixed. These are not small improvements that need to be made to this house to make it aesthetically appealing, not just by my judgment, but just by common sense. And I look at it across the street, and it was empty for a long time too. But he did just move somebody in. Like, boop, you can live here. No problem. And I think you're really remiss when you hold so many people to the fire for the big developments that I'm aware of, that in this one little situation, I think this guy figures it's not that important. I'm just going to do what I want to do because it's just one thing. But to us, it is that one thing that we're here representing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else behind her?
Excuse me, I've got allergies. Do I have to sign my name
Yeah,
first?
you sign it and
Okay.
introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Okay. All right, my name's Carol Kuchar. I live at 646 East McMurray Road with my husband and our 2 dogs. We've had that place. We moved in there when my daughter was 12, and she's 44 now. And we were so happy to be out of Allegheny County. We moved from Crafton years ago. Had a lot of situations there with a lot more, things going on, the police being called. Anyway, long story short, our next door neighbor is Andy and Betty Swick, and after them is Phil and his wife. And we've just been really happy here. We were told at the closing, when we bought the place years ago, we could have a horse. I said, I don't want to bring a horse in and, then you have to build a barn. And the neighbors, that would just be a lot of stress for everybody. And we couldn't afford it anyway, even if we wanted to. You'll have to excuse me, I have a brain aneurysm and I have a tremor. So, excuse me, long story short, Andy and his wife, they've been the nicest people you ever want to meet. They're really just nice as can be. When we needed some emergencies, they were always there. I knew my daughter would be safe. I had to go out of town or whatever. I don't want, now I was told today by Frank Kozer, told my daughter that they had stopped that rezoning. They put it back to the original zoning. Is that true or not? Did you read?
Mark, do you want to explain the
Yeah.
zoning situation?
Yeah, is that
Yeah, so
reason?
it's currently zoned low-density residential.
Okay.
Probably a month, maybe 2 ago, it was rezoned from mixed residential down to low-density residential. However, the developer had submitted plans prior to that happening, which is why we're following it as a mixed residential development.
But I thought that was originally, the single-family homes, low density, whatever the fancy term is.
Right, it was low density, and then in 2000 and 13, 16, somewhere in that range. It got rezoned to mixed residential overlay. And then recently, 2 months ago, it was rezoned back to low-density
to-
residential. But
Okay.
again, they submitted these current plans prior to
Before.
that happening. It was
Um,
literally 5 days before.
When people get old and they retire, we've been here, like I said, 40 years. And our neighbor, Andy and Betty Swick. Andy was in the military, he was in the Navy. He has a right to be here to, talk about how he feels. He just wants peace and quiet. We look to you people to protect us. We pay our taxes, we take care of our property, we take care of our yard. And of course, this guy has a right to, make some money. But surely he could make, it's Peters Township. They could rent that whole house out and make a lot of money. The school's right there. The elementary school's right behind. The kids come home. We've been there years. The kids come home from the elementary school, walk through our property, and I know they're safe. I would never stop them. Those little elementary school kids, they walk home through our property, I want them to be safe. When you have rental units, you've got strangers coming in. Now, maybe they're all perfectly nice people and safe and all that, but anytime you add more people, would you want your kids to be in that situation? If you have little children, I don't know. I don't know any of you people, but would you really want that? It's safe. There's single family, but now there's plans to start bringing in more people, and that's just my opinion. Maybe it won't count, but it's just my feeling. I just want everyone to be safe. There's horrible things going on in the world right now. We got illegal migrants coming in, people being killed and all that. We don't want Peters Township to end up like that. We just want to be safe for the rest of our lives. I'm 71. I don't know how, I could be gone tomorrow. I could go home tonight and the aneurysm will burst and I'm gone. I just want to know that our neighborhood's not going to have all these people coming in. Can you please protect us from that?
Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
know my name and address,
Okay,
646.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else behind her? On this side? Please
I'll
come
be
up.
very brief. My name's Philip Ross. I live right next door. Joyce is my wife. There's not much more to say. I just sort of wanted to summarize everything. This all started because back in 2013, hey, we're going to do town center. And I think everybody was okay with that. But what happened was, that did not happen. The gentleman bought a property. It's being grandfathered into something that the original intent never was. Been in touch with the township since 2023, saying, hey, how can we stop this? Had we have known to try and get that rezoning changed at that time, we would have done it right away. We were told, do not worry, it's a single family permit, you'll be notified. 2 years later, we were notified, here we are. But we've been trying to get ahead of this thing. So I think everyone, you can see that everyone around this is opposed. Pete and Connie can't be here this evening, they had plans. Short notice to get all of us here, but I have been up begging everyone. This has been reversed. So when we did get a chance to say, hey, this is not what was intended, everyone here agreed. Everyone agreed in the, on council agreed. That's why we're back here. So I guess in summary, we're trying to retrofit something in because just like we said, hey, that would be great if towns, if it's gonna look like South Point, but we wouldn't have said, hey, that's great if our neighbor sells and they make it a duplex, we're in. That was never the intent. It should not be the intent now, and there's no one here that agrees with that. I just wanted to articulate that point, and I've been trying to articulate it for over 2 years. So I really hope that matters, and I hope that we've been trying to follow the right process, and that others have not been, I hope that matters. And I hope you would put yourself in my shoes and walk out your driveway and look next door and see 4 parking spaces out with bushes in front of them. That's not what our neighborhood is. I don't think that's what people want to see coming down the road from Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair, driving past down to our stadium. I don't think that's the image we want to present. So I'm really asking that you strongly consider denying this, because it's trying to be retrofitted into something that just not came to fruition. So that's all I have. I will sign the paper. I will shut up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the commission? Mark, with respect to the submission, Mark, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Their council raised the lack of open space and some other issues per a mixed residential. Is it your opinion that, assuming he's correct, that they met those requirements?
The reason why I did not bring that up in my review letters, because they
Yeah.
do have a common yard area, both in the front and the back. And in relation to the stormwater management requirements, they are below our minimum threshold for when a stormwater management plan and ENS plan is required.
Okay, even for a mixed residential?
Even for this development, yes. So you have to get to a certain threshold, which is 2,500 square feet of impervious coverage, new impervious coverage.
Okay. Anybody else? Did I miss somebody? I'm sorry if I did. Oh, please come up one more time, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to say to everyone here that, you know, it's not my dad's, you know, he wasn't trying to be malicious in any of this, and I understand wherever you're coming from. You know, I grew up in Peters. You guys have been here a lot longer than I have, but I just want to say I understand your concerns, and I just understand. That's all. I just want.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank Mr. Crehan for that, and I appreciate that. But I'm not in the real estate business. I do invest. Sometimes I make great investments and they pay off. Sometimes I make some pretty poor ones and they don't pay off. And in my opinion, they tried to make a great investment with the town center situation, and it looked like it was going to be a great thing, and that would have been a fabulous investment. But it didn't turn out that way. So I don't think it's a bad investment. I think it's a good investment for a later date when it turns into what it's supposed to be, not a duplex in the middle of a bunch of homes that are single family.
Any thoughts, Rocco?
I'm poring over definitions here, and I am not an attorney. It's my opinion that the duplex concept was not considered in the town center. That's just my opinion. I'm poring over these definitions. They are what they are. I think the legal interpretation is needed. That's where I'm struggling with it, frankly. So I'm looking at it and saying, okay, the single-family attached definition talks about one dwelling unit attached to 2 or more dwelling units. Does that mean 3 dwelling units, or does that mean 2 dwelling units?
To me, that means 3.
So you're saying that means 3. And if it does mean 3, they talk about those 3 units being divided by a common vertical wall.
Mm-hmm.
So the vertical wall is a component of the single-family attached. Is the intent of that definition to include duplexes, meaning just 2, and maintain the vertical wall, which I would suggest that it is, or is it saying that it's any 2 units divided any which way?
The way I'm reading it is that it's a duplex, which is defined as any 2 units, any which orientation.
And I'm not an attorney, it looks to me that there's a vertical wall component, and it's saying you can do 3 or more, or 2 with a vertical wall. That's my opinion.
If I may, so that just goes like to the heart of our positioning here is there's a reason why they added vertical walls to that definition of single-family dwelling, and it says in the report that we produced to you, there's a lot of safety reasons, there's a lot of code reasons. You know, if there's a fire, you don't want that. You need firewalls there before it spreads to other units. So we're of the opinion that when they added that language to single-family single-family attached. They listed that as a permitted use in the overlay district. That is what their intention was. It was not for duplexes to go away from that definition in terms of having vertical walls as opposed to horizontal walls. So that was our interpretation of it, and that's why we're opposed to it today.
Mark,
The
go ahead, I'm sorry.
The only thing I'll point out, though, in the ordinance for the mixed residential overlay district, it does specifically call out duplexes and other components of the regulation. So it'll say duplexes, it'll say single-family attached duplexes, and whatever other use. So it notes that it considers duplexes as a use that's, could potentially be in that zoning district.
Understood. I'm reading what the report. I
Yeah.
did not pour through the other uses.
Well, there's no dispute about the vertical wall component, though, right? That's taken from the text of the definition.
Well, the text of the definition for the single-family attached. So the question, I guess, is, when you say at the very end of that definition for single-family attached, this includes a duplex, should you then go to the definition of what a duplex is, which in that case is any building with 2 units?
Yeah, that's kind of where I struggle with it as well, because they seem to put a lot of thought and description into the vertical wall and it being
Right.
3 units, and then they mentioned an example of this as 2 units. To me, that those two things don't go together. So I'm kind of Rocco's opinion as well. To me, that's where I'm getting kind of caught up.
And Mark, I may be out in the weeds on this one, but something just like the non-conforming issue of front setback is outside the maximum. It goes from 30 to 70 something. Does that have any bearing on a decision made by the staff or this commission?
The reason why we didn't look into that, well, not that we didn't look into it, but it's already non-conforming in relation to that setback. We're not increasing that non-conformity in any way. So we did not consider that as a point of contention with this particular development.
It has no legal standing, is what you're saying, or really?
Well, because it's already non-conforming, and you are allowed to continue to use a use for a non-conformity,
It's non-conforming even as a low density requirement, is that right?
No, actually, if you're just low density, it would be
It's okay.
conforming, yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to find some legal hooks here, and
Well,
I'm having trouble.
and if we were to consider it a single-family home in a low-density residential, which is what it is currently now zoned, it would be conforming.
Because what the attorney gave us is like drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of information
Right.
given to us, and trying to decipher it all. It's tough.
I think where I'm having an issue is the single-family attached talks about the vertical wall, but you're right, that last sentence says it includes duplexes. And if we read that out of the definition, then it renders all of that provision mere surplusage, which, under the rules of statutory construction, we're not supposed to do. There's a reason it's there. So, I mean, I think we need to consider that.
Any motions? Any motions for or against? Any commissioners?
I'm still struggling with the way this all started out and how the zoning changed. And you said they were inside by 5 days submitting their plan before it changed back to the former zoning.
So I think another thing we should evaluate is, we evaluated this plan once. And this commission denied it in June?
June or July.
Okay. So then the developer went back, I guess council then took certain action regarding the zoning and took certain action, and we denied it once under the overlay district zone,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much has changed. I think maybe the developer added some additional requirements per the requirements of our code that
Right, they
came in
added
the
the
second
parking
time.
and the landscaping.
Yes. Okay. I have my decision, but I'm chair, I'm looking for you guys to make a motion for or against.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Might be going on this in the minority, I'm not sure, but I move the planning commission deny the 640 East McMurray multifamily residence plan.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor of the denial, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye. Just based on that duplex language. I think.
So, the plan was denied. And this is the last action for this, right? Because we were the final decision here. This is not gonna count.
Correct, it's not going to council, and anything they submit going forward has to follow now the low-density residential requirements.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You bet.
Have a good evening.
So what steps can I take?
You could talk to Mark about it.
Okay.
Yeah, after the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'm not sure if it would be zoning hearing board or appeal to the Court of Common Pleas, I'm not sure which. So I'd have to check with our solicitor. I assume one way or the other. We're gonna end this spot. So.
All right.
Okay.
Last but not
Yeah,
least.
Thank you.
I
Yep.
will only be impartial part of the day tomorrow, so if not tomorrow, then we can talk Monday. Okay? All right, take care.
Next on the agenda is Coughlin's Law, South Hills Land Development Plan.
Okay, this is also a plan from last time. What we have here is a proposed restaurant located at 615 East McMurray, literally right across the street. The lot itself is 1.5 acres. Currently, it is vacant, but it did have a medical office building that was used. That is also vacant as well. The topography of the site is generally flat with a slight slope leading, tapering off to the rear of the site. It does have access directly off of East McMurray Road with its own HOP for the current designed driveway. The proposed development, again, this is for a restaurant. They are proposing 6,500 square feet of indoor restaurant space as well as 1,640 square feet of outdoor seating. The number of parking stalls is 74 spaces with 3 accessible handicap spaces. They do have a stormwater management facility. It's located in the, I guess that would be the eastern portion of the site here. I'm sorry, western portion. And there has been some changes since we submitted this plan to you guys in your packets. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And again, as noted earlier, vehicle access is proposed to remain the same, basically even the same design dimensions as well as what was previously approved through the HOP process. One of the issues.
Did they get a new HOP for this?
They will not need a new HOP because they're essentially was already approved for a low volume commercial driveway.
It's
and
really
it's-
low volume now? Mike?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Okay, but the traffic count has to be way higher.
Yeah, well, low volume, it's just a made-up number, or a
Okay.
made-up term. PennDOT has low, medium, high, so there's a
Sure.
certain number of trips.
Yeah.
If you're, I think it's like 1,500 a day or less is a low volume.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that come under low volume. A single-family home could be a low volume, or a restaurant could be low volume.
Okay. And you'll determine a traffic impact fee on this?
I've already handed that to Mark,
Okay,
so
great.
I don't know if that was in
Thank you.
one of our letters.
Okay.
Yes, it was in one of your letters, I believe. One of the other items to note, this was what we discussed quite a bit last time, was connectivity and whether or not there should be a cross-access easement in the rear of the property. Currently, developments in the town center are required to connect to adjacent properties or provide for the ability for that to happen in the future, which is what they've done in this latest version, where there is an easement in the rear of the property that would allow for access into this adjoining parcel as well as the adjoining parcel to the south, if those parcels were to develop or redevelop. They've also.
Would they meet the parking counts without if there is an easement?
Yes, yes, if those
Okay.
parking spaces go away,
Okay.
they still have enough.
Okay.
And then the lighting plan was submitted, is mostly conforming. There was just a couple questions on the 2 decorative light fixtures out front, whether or not they are full cutoff. And that's something that's real minor condition. So in terms of the analysis, there's really a couple issues outstanding. I believe the dimensional issues related to turning templates has been addressed as of, okay, and then there's also some stormwater issues. The applicant has made some revisions to the current plans. We have them, we received them today. While we think they're heading in the right direction, we have not had a chance to truly go into the actual details of that. But like I said, we do think they're headed in the right direction in terms of design. So with that, our recommendation is that we do work towards approving this plan conditioned upon addressing my comments, Gateway's comments, and those of Mudry's comments, as well as also require that the developer execute a land development improvement agreement. And what that is, that's essentially an agreement that would require the developer to follow the land development plan as they build out the site. So with that, I would open up to any questions or comments. The applicant is here in the audience as well.
Gateway, did you have a chance to review, did they meet all your comments in your comment letter?
I skimmed through it quickly. There were a few comments that were addressed, but I haven't had a chance to dive into the details. We just received it this afternoon, late this afternoon.
And Mark, I brought this up to you, and as a township, I really think we need to make deadlines on developers giving our engineers comments day of. I think they need to be at least a week in advance, so you can digest, and this commission can hear you understand and give recommendations, rather than us do some kind of approval process conditioned upon you approving at a later date. And I raise that, I don't know if that's a protocol we should start thinking about as a commission and a staff. And I know we try to give all these developers the benefit of the doubt, but I think them and their engineers need to be more diligent in responding to the staff in the commission. Just a comment, okay?
I can say that the comments I did go through, at a quick glance, the majority of them, the grading comments and the zoning comments, at a glance, those appeared to be compliant.
Okay.
It's the stormwater I haven't had a chance to dive into.
Okay.
And we really want to make sure that the volume and rate control is adequately being managed on this site. Now, this site today, it flows all to the back.
Okay.
There's an existing storm system on the site as it sits today, and it conveys the water to the back of the site into that parking lot. What we need to dive into and be sure of is that they're reducing the rates and volumes properly. And I like I said, I think like Mark said, I think they're taking a step in the right direction. They put a large subsurface detention system underneath the parking lot, which our biggest concern was the functionality of that pond in the back, the steep slopes, the lack of a berm on the low side of it. So I think the way they have it set up now, it's going to work better, but we just need to work through those details. And
Mike, no, go ahead, Rocco.
I guess from a stormwater perspective, so the plans submitted this afternoon were for an underground detention facility.
yeah, so
But this is not the plan before our township today. I know we received that, but I poured over these this afternoon, and that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at
that's correct.
above ground.
Yeah, it just came in later this afternoon. So I was able to, I spent about an hour with it.
I
went
appreciate that.
through
You
it.
can't run
Yeah.
through routings in an hour, and
Right.
that's a lot of work to kind of digest, so I appreciate that, yeah. I wouldn't expect you to have it get completed at all.
Mike, have you received any additional comments today, or you've already reviewed this?
I was able to again, same like Josh, I was able to skim through the plans, and I think that they've addressed all the big ones. The only one I think left, I hadn't had a chance to look at lighting levels. We were discussing lighting levels or something like that, but I think that's just a matter of, that's something that, you can figure that out. That's a minor detail.
Mike, do you have any concerns with access, ingress, egress, any of that? You think that all works?
Every comment that I've made through these, I think I've seen 2 or 3 versions of the plan going back a few months. They've made every change, and I think the latest change, and I think it's hard to see on there, but I think they're actually when you come in the driveway, the right side, they're actually bumping that out even more to kind of open that up a little bit more, and that was at our request. And then Kim today provided the vehicle turning template, so the fire truck's able to get in and out, garbage truck, single unit delivery truck, it's all able to function at that driveway, so.
I noticed that the entrance is close to that kind of painted interior taper or gore that's on McMurray. Any issues with that, or that's all fairly clean? It's not going to create congestion or issues there?
I mean, it's McMurray Road, so,
Sure.
it's nothing more than you would expect on McMurray Road,
So
up and
you're-
down that stretch. I mean, it's just
So
like
if
every other.
somebody's coming up left, going towards Bethel Park, could traffic back up far enough at the light that they couldn't make the left in, or no?
I'm not gonna say
Unusual.
I'm not gonna say it never backs up that far. It could back up that far. That's not a regular thing. It's usually, and lately it's been very unusual just because of all the construction up here.
Correct.
And now that it's finally open, we're about to hit Christmas time again. So that seems to always be a wonky time. So I won't say it never backs up in front of that driveway. And you folks are there, you'll know more than I do. But it's not a concern from the traffic standpoint, just because it's still a low volume driveway.
Okay, okay. Any other comments? Let the
Yeah, I think we can.
applicant come up, please.
So-
Go ahead,
One
John.
question. So last time there were the two exceptions that they were seeking. One was the connectivity, which they've resolved. The second was the sidewalk. Is that still
They're showing the
being asked?
6-foot wide sidewalk.
Hi,
Go
good
ahead,
evening,
Kim.
Kim Gales from JR Gales. Respectfully, we appreciate approval tonight. We just got the review letters last Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
So I'd love to have time to go back and forth, but
Sure.
considering the changes, and we don't have the time to go for departures on the side slopes because you require 3-to-1, and on the berm around the pond. So that's what took us some time to reconfigure that. So there's still a rain garden with connection with an underground facility in the storm sewer that along here.
Do we have a copy of the plan that's proposed? that you would like
I
us to look
could
at?
show that if you want. I do have it available.
We can look at it. I guess I have a few questions. I noticed that do we have infiltration tests now?
Yes, I
So
didn't submit it yet.
We do have
but
results.
Yes, we did do this.
I have not seen results.
No, we had just done them a couple days ago.
Are the results submitted with the current, that was submitted this afternoon?
I don't think so, but I can get them over to them.
Okay, so we don't know if it works.
So where do
Well, it can,
The results are
or you put an
proven,
under
right?
drain in. If it doesn't infiltrate.
That's the purpose of the infiltration test, respectfully. So we want to make sure that things work. My biggest concern about the stormwater is the discharge point. I know it goes to the existing inlet, and that goes into a pipe. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, that goes into an 18-inch pipe that goes down over the hill.
Who owns that pipe?
I guess that's privately owned.
Is it an MS4 system pipe? I believe do we have to take the outfall from a site to either an MS4 or waters of the Commonwealth? Or if it discharges to a private storm system? I'm just worried about bringing that capacity of that stressing the capacity, the existing capacity of that system that's on the adjacent property.
Well, we're only discharging what it can handle.
So have you done a downstream analysis of
Yes.
that too?
Yes.
And that's been
Yeah.
provided to you, Josh?
I don't believe that the downstream analysis has been provided to us.
Was that submitted in
Okay.
the information you provided today?
Well, the 18-inch works of what's being discharged.
Have you completed a downstream analysis?
How far
of the
would you like
private
us to
pipe?
take it?
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that any development has to understand what the capacity is to either an MS4 system, a municipal
Okay.
system, or to a waters of the Commonwealth.
Okay.
So if you've analyzed that system, my concern is if we put too much water in that private pipe, is there going to be an issue? This isn't discharging to a creek or a stream that has a reasonable, amount of capacity to floodplain. This is an underground system that runs through parking lots of an adjacent property.
Okay, so I'd also like to suggest that we've also taken the neighboring property that now has no stormwater devices, no inlets, or anything and then controlling it in our systems.
Which neighboring property was that?
That would be right down through here. It has no inlets, everything just drains right now. So we've taken that and controlled that in our system also
Okay.
to, you know.
It's off-site drainage, understood. I'm not, first off, I love the plan, I love the development, I've visited both. We're just trying to make sure, I'm trying to make sure and trying to ensure that any approval plan goes through that private storm sewer. That gives me pause. Because again, we're adding impervious, we don't have a filtration test, we may or may not have done and submitted the
Well, I guess-
storm sewer analysis for downstream properties.
Yeah,
That's
that
my-
wasn't requested at this point, you know, through the review letters.
Is that required, Josh? I may be off base.
Yeah.
It's required in such a way that they need to prove that they're not exacerbating any type of downstream sewer capacity.
Gotcha.
So, when we reviewed this plan, there are a set of inlets near the entrance, and those inlets catch the water, and today they take the majority of that site all the way back to that back corner of the property. So, I would just say about 80 to 90% of that site already goes to the back. So our position is that it's going back there today. We're reviewing the stormwater, ensuring they're reducing their volume and their rate, so effectively it would be improving that system as it goes out to the water course.
Understood.
That's the way we're looking at it.
We just need to confirm it.
Sure.
And I'm more than happy to work with Gateway on resolving it. I don't think there's anything that's earth-shattering we cannot resolve.
But I think
Through
what we're
the
kind of
design.
saying is we need to see that it will work as designed and see the proof of that, right? So we're not doubting, we just need to see the tests and the results and everything else.
Yeah, and if we would have, we were given, 4 or 5 days to rework everything. And we're probably not gonna time extension, so it's almost really critical that we can sort of move forward.
And that's fair, but we also need time to do our review and that process. So we're all kind of working together here. We just need to make sure we get our information.
I've not reviewed the hydrology. I know Josh for a long time. I trust his engineering judgment. I trust his opinion. I'd like you to have time to work through it and have the information available, including the infiltration test. I think that's vital. I think that was asked originally in your original
Yeah.
letter. That's my current position. So, yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, well, it has to be.
That's what I'm trying to figure out
Oh,
right now.
sorry, thank you.
The infiltration testing does now have to include the underground detention facility.
Yes,
That's
it
just
would.
been changed, so.
Yes. I think it's been, yeah, thank you.
So we have till December 10th on the time clock.
Okay. So we could table it and consider it.
It would be
at the next
available,
meeting.
yes, the November 13th meeting.
Yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. I feel like we need the opportunity for our experts to go through the information. Very much anticipated plan, looks like a great development, but I think we'd all like to be comfortable that everything works.
Agreed. Particularly because there's a private property involved.
And Gateway, do you feel like you're gonna provide her enough comments to have her do the additional testing to come back prior to our November meeting to hopefully
Yeah.
these infiltration tests and whatnot?
Well, sure, I mean, as soon as you get that test to us, we
Yes.
can review that. Now, we have that submittal we just got today. Within a couple weeks, we can review that submittal and provide comments back, but ultimately, we need that complete package to be able to review that.
But I will get you that, but I would respect that you could review it quicker than a couple of weeks, because then that doesn't give me any time to respond back and,
Forgive me for asking the question. Do we have set timelines for so on and so forth? I imagine we have it pretty scripted. For comment responses, information back to the applicants or what have you.
We do in terms of when you have to submit prior to a meeting. We do actually require everything to be in before, 10 days before a meeting. But in terms of how we do it internally for our consultants to review and then give them time to give the developer time to review, we don't necessarily have that scripted out. Generally, I give our consultants 10 to 14 days to review stuff that we get from the developer. Then the developer I expect to turn around within a week or so.
Understood.
I mean, we'll expedite it. We'll push it through as fast as we can. We got this updated submittal 2 weeks ago. We pushed this updated letter out within a week of receiving it. We'll push it through as fast as we can. We just got to make sure that it's correct.
And that's the most important thing, is it being correct?
Correct.
I'm pleased that you're going underground, because I did see some of the questions you had, Josh, on this current plan that's before us with the large rain garden in the back, and I did kind of see the questions you were asking were valid. So I'm encouraged and very pleased to see we went underground. I think it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, can't wait to see the next plan.
Any other audience comments? Yeah, please come up, introduce yourself. Please come up, introduce yourself, sign in.
Tom Sapolio. I have the Crossroads Mower Center.
Okay.
I really don't know what to say. It's just, I want to see their business go. I want to see it. You know, I've been there, 50 years? My dad bought it in '88, and I've seen a lot of different things. There is a lot of water that comes out of that ground over there in that field. I mean, I actually seen it come up out of the ground and squirt out. So there is a lot of water in that area. We paid, between me and the other doctor, we put a drain there, and we both paid for that, for the runoff, so it doesn't keep going over into the magistrate's parking lot, because it would always ice it, make a big ice skating rink down there, real bad. So we paid and had a drain put in there. Didn't work real good. You know, there's the culvert there too, and the water runs into that, but it doesn't do much. I mean, they build it up off the ground a little bit. It takes a lot of the water to come off and to go into that grate.
So this property abuts, behind it is the magistrate's office and the,
Yeah, and all
right
the water
behind.
runs from that field.
Yeah, right.
I don't know where that is, but
McMurray Road's on your right, Tom.
Yeah.
Your parcel's right down here.
yeah, my building's what, right here?
Yeah.
Right in there.
Yeah, and the culvert's right here, right?
Well, that's the proposed, but
Pardon me?
Isn't it on the 615 property here? It's on the current, the subject property. In the
Yeah,
back.
that's it
Yep,
there.
yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where and then all the water just always ran down here. So we built a drain here. We all paid into that, to have that French drain put in there. It didn't help.
well, I think that's important why we're having them
Yeah.
making sure the engineers
That's all
will
good.
sign off on this, that it works.
I want it to happen. My main concern is how much property, you know, when the people come into my building here, I need turning radius, I need turning lanes, because the tractor trailers that come in, with the lawnmowers and stuff on them, they can't turn. So, many years ago, I went into the property line, over the easement, we'll call it. And that helped me make the turn for these 18-wheelers and these other trucks. Now, their property, of course, is right on that easement. We call it an easement, but I don't know what you want to call it. I need that. Or, you know, even the fire department said they couldn't even come in here with a big truck and turn that thing around if I didn't have that. Just the other day, we had an incident. A lady called the ambulance, because she was passed out or something. Police came, the ambulance came, fire truck come. There was no room. And I said to the fire department, I says, what if you brought a big truck in here, how are you gonna turn around? He says, we're not. I says, well, they wanna get rid of this, so he says, well, at the next meeting, I'll talk about that. But we're gonna have a problem back in here.
Does he currently have an easement, Mark, or no, just doing it?
I think it's
I
just
don't
an
have much
agreement.
business.
There is
Just
no easement between the properties
If
currently.
if I can.
Sure.
You know what, can I address this for you?
Sure.
Good evening.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Ryan Lemke, I'm the attorney for the applicant.
Okay.
And I was brought here simply to discuss that issue.
Okay.
I think somewhere between 2010 and 2012, the adjoining property owner did put gravel down onto the subject property.
Okay.
That was not with the consent of the current owner. There's no recorded easement. There's no right by deed. He just did it. In fact, it's my understanding that the current owner has already drafted and is prepared to send a cease and desist letter to that adjoining property owner.
You guys currently own it? You already own the property?
No,
You're
it's
just under
it's under
agreement.
contract. And I wasn't gonna say anything. I understand you, with respect, you guys have to have your experts look at all this stuff. But this is under an agreement of sale with deadlines. So we were hoping that this would get approved with conditions tonight. I understand that's probably not gonna happen, but we're gonna have to try to renegotiate with the current owner to extend the due diligence period out. I was provided, not that I want to litigate here tonight, whether they have adverse possession to this property or some sort of equitable right to the property. But I do have a Google Maps picture from 2010, which shows that that gravel that was put down was not there. So clearly, that's not in excess of 21 years.
Question for you.
Sure.
When the property gets developed, and this might be a question for you, Kim, is there gonna be something that blocks them? I guess what I'm contemplating is, when they're getting deliveries, I would assume that would be during the day. The restaurant would be less busy than at dinner time. And when you're busy at dinner time, they shouldn't be, they're probably closed at that point. So is there an issue really, unless you're gonna put something in that would prevent them, if there's some curbing?
Landscaping or?
Right.
I'll let Kim talk about that, but I believe if that turnaround isn't eliminated, they won't have the required parking spaces. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But when you say eliminated, does it mean there needs to be curbing put in that would prevent the neighboring property owner from using it when it's available, if there aren't already cars parked there because your restaurant's busy?
Yes, we need to have the curbing to control the stormwater.
Okay.
And again, with all due respect, I think there's some engineering that can be done on the adjoining property owner to fix their issue with turnarounds and things like that. But it shouldn't be at the expense of my client's property. So I did bring these, so I'll let you folks take a look. For some reason, they didn't give me 2011, but you'll see in 2010, that turnaround's not there, but then in 2012 it is. So it was put in somewhere between those two.
Yeah.
You're establishing that 21 years
Correct.
started, so it's, we're not yet eclipsed that.
And I'm not sure that's the place for this body to.
No, and I totally agree, but I just wanted to address it because the
That's a good
applicant
point. Thank you.
knew that it was gonna come up.
Right? Okay.
And that's where they're gonna build a parking lot and landscape road, which will basically.
I mean, there's a stormwater question. There's this other question, and I would defer to, if that's not this body's.
I don't think that, I don't think that's our issue. He doesn't have a recorded easement for it. They're gonna have to fight about adverse possession. That's in their civil interest to do so. I'm not sure that's for us to determine.
I'm more thinking about the issues you're gonna
The
have.
stormwater.
Well,
Yeah.
we've heard some comments today about there being potential, a wet area, and then we're looking at infiltration, looking at infiltration tests. I mean, I think that's very important to make sure we're not exacerbating a situation.
And we're also
That's
already hearing correctly, there's a problem already.
We hear there's a concern, yeah. So I would love to just see that is put to rest and be confident that we're not gonna have downstream issues with the adjacent parcel. If that had already been addressed, I'm very happy with the plan.
I guess my question is, what's our next step? We all agree we need more information. You need more information. Do we make a motion?
I was gonna motion, if you wanna make a
To
motion.
table.
Yeah.
If I may.
Sure, please, I'm sorry. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Brandy Welsh. I am a resident of Peters Township at 122 Cider Lane. I'm also here tonight representing Dr. King and his wife, who are the owners of the property. I am their real estate agent. And so I just, Ryan had touched on it before, but to the extent that, there is a real estate transaction happening here, there is a deadline. And so to the extent that anything could be pushed through with an approval, understanding that Gateway and Mr. Holdren, and probably some traffic studies need to be, or stormwater certainly need further evaluation, and of course that approval, because we don't want any water going to our magistrate's office. We would certainly appreciate that. But I did just want to comment from my client's side. He is out of the country, so he could not be here today himself, but there are cease and desist letters going to the neighboring properties because of a lack of an easement and the manipulation of his property, as well as ongoing parking on his property of both Crossroads Mowers as well as the Eye Gallery. And certainly, there has been no verbal agreement, no monetary payment that has either expressly or implied allowed use for that to be able to happen. So I just wanted to mention that on his behalf. And so again, we would appreciate, to the extent we could move this forward for the sake of all of the bodies here and the real estate timeline. I think this is a great use of this property. It sits obviously right across from this building that we're in now. It is in line with the town center plan that we have had here for some time. I know residents will really enjoy this. And so I think those are my comments, and I just would hope that we could push this as much as possible.
I think to Rocco's point, though, we don't have the ability to give an approval condition or recommend approval conditioned upon the engineer's comments, because we don't know what those comments are until he has the opportunity to go through more thoroughly what Kim's provided and will be providing to him shortly. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I think there's a strong support for this project. You can tell your client, and maybe he should think outside the box and renegotiate for a month.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Give a motion to table on this, or do you want to make a motion to approve or deny? It's up to you guys.
I'll move to table the Coughlin's Law South Hills Land Development Plan.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any no? Okay. Anything else, Mark?
No, that's it.
Staff update.
Great.
Well, we have a new
Introduce.
staff member. So
Yeah.
Garrett, our assistant planning director, I've introduced, I think, to everyone now.
Welcome aboard, Garrett.
Welcome, Garrett. Nice to have you.
We'll
You
be seeing
moving,
a lot more
you
of
move
him.
in from out of town, or?
I'm originally from Erie, Pennsylvania, but I spent the last 3 years in Vermont.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic.
My wife is from here.
Where did you spend the last 3 months?
3 years in Vermont.
Oh, Vermont.
I was working for the city of Burlington.
Ah, very good.
Nice. Well, thanks and welcome to Peters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.